Welcome, beloved listeners, to our podcast, a place where we share life experiences through the lens of faith and find common ground in being loved by God. I'm Lorraine Hess here with Erica Strong, and we are beloved daughters of God. It is our goal that you know that you are beloved by God too. We are very excited today to be sponsored by Rothel Dental, and that's spelled Roethele Dental. Check them out if you like my smile. Then you need to check them out because they have been my dentist forever. And I moved 20 minutes away from them and I still travel to go to this dental office. So we thank you so much, Rothel Dental, for sponsoring this podcast. We are extremely grateful to you.
Hey, Lorraine, I say it every time. I'm excited about this conversation.
I am too. And I think we should just get right to it and you can introduce our guest and then we'll start with an opening
Absolutely.
prayer.
Yes. So please do.
Thank you, Father, for this beautiful podcast and all those who just humble us by listening with each and every episode. We ask your blessings on Shavon, Erica, and myself, that our conversation might be beneficial to those who listen. We honor you, Father. We love you. We honor you. We praise you. We glorify you. And may that all that we do through this podcast be pleasing to you. And we make this prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. All right. So for our beloved listeners, I have to kind of give them a forewarning of this conversation, right? Because everybody doesn't feel the same way about money and finances. There's a lot of icky, kind of like squirmy, I don't know if I am confident about my finances that people run away from. And sometimes they feel like it's boring. Right. And so I'm super excited, guys, to have Shavon Roman with us today because she is the founder of Heal, Plan, and Invest. Can you believe that? That's around money. Heal, plan, and invest. And Siobhan has been a trailblazer in this space because she's been helping people like myself to get over the fear of looking at your finances and making decisions. And the sound advice that she gives, and just I want her to tell the story when she was a little girl, and she really realized that this was her purpose a long time ago to tell that story. But Siobhan, thank you so much for joining us today because this is a subject that a lot of people run away from. And what our platform with Beloved do is we talk about real everyday life stuff, and how to help people through those processes. And money is one of the biggest ones. So I'm happy to talk to you today. So welcome to Beloved.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to
Yes.
be here.
So, Siobhan, please first tell us, tell us a little bit about your company, and that. But I want you to tell the story of how you knew this was your purpose.
Oh goodness. Well, Erica and Lorraine, I don't have tissue nearby, so I'm going to try to make this work. But I absolutely have to say, if you don't mind, to
Mhm,
start a podcast with a prayer, I have done so many of these, and
mhm.
I have never experienced that.
Wow.
And when you
Praise
think
Jesus.
about praying to start a podcast and talking about money, I think
Mhm,
about some of the challenges that I had, where there were days that I would lay on the floor and cry.
mhm,
The only way that I made it through was God. There
mhm,
was no other force, no other credit, no Google, no Chat GPT, nothing that I could credit it to. And I'll
mhm,
talk about typing and all that stuff today too, but I
mhm.
was absolutely impressed and so honored that you started with a prayer.
Thank
Mhm.
Well,
you.
good. Well, we are covered,
Mhm.
and so are you in this
Yes.
discussion. So tell
I
us about
love that.
yourself. I was so looking forward to meeting you.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So where do I start? I'll start. I guess I could go back 15 years. I have been in financial services about 15 years, really helping
Mhm,
people get wealthy. I was with
mhm,
a huge investment company for about a decade and was really challenged with helping people that were just like me navigate this process. So the ideal clients in that environment were really wealthy families.
mhm,
And what I noticed is there were really fundamental principles that I was taking and using with these wealthy families that the rest of the population knew nothing about. So I had this whole, I call it the underground railroad of financial services. So at nighttime and on the weekends, I would actually work with people, helping them, trying to transition them out of where they were with their money into a better
Yeah.
place.
Mhm.
And it just got to a point where I could no longer have this whole undercover operation. I had to make a decision to leave. And I
Mhm,
decided I would leave It was January of 2022,
Mhm.
and I made a decision to leave the firm, and it was such a hard decision.
Mm.
I've been there a decade. And I decided when I made that decision that we needed one more year. I need one more year of security and stability at this job, and then I could transition into this work that I knew it was meant for me to do.
Mhm.
And I will tell you, Erica and Lorraine, that one year was a living hell for me.
Wow.
It was this gray area that I was tormented in every single day
Wow.
because it was not the place that I was supposed to be.
Mhm.
So that next year in January, I was like, this is it. I don't need any other lessons. I don't need any other nights of wondering if I'm doing this right or wrong. And I
Yeah.
left in January. And really, everyone thought I was crazy.
Mhm.
Why would you leave this really big firm and you're working with all of these really rich families to move into this space that really, for me, works with middle class Americans, trying to help them move from this survival space to really truly being able to breathe?
Mhm.
And why would you do that when most middle class Americans, the things they would say is, hey, can't even afford the things that we're selling and the services that we're offering?
Mhm.
And I was just determined that I knew I was supposed to do this. So that was
Yeah.
2.5 years ago, and I
Mm.
cannot keep up.
Oh, nice. And
That's exciting.
I
Mhm.
have to have our listeners hear this story. So in the time that she's been working with regular everyday, people like us that's working hard and, raising our family, she was able to help a very special person in her life to become a millionaire.
Oh, Erica.
Please.
So at 16 years old, I started working with my mother. I begged her. My mother is a mail carrier with the federal government. She's out in Miami walking day in and day out in the heat,
Yeah.
just trying to earn a living to support my sister and I. And I was 16 and asked her if I could manage her retirement account. I had no idea what that really meant at that time. The language
Mhm.
that I have now is obviously not what I used then. I just
Yeah.
wanted to pick the stock inside of her investment account for her retirement.
Mhm.
And can you ladies believe she actually let me?
As
She
16-year-old, I don't know if my mom would have let me manage her money when I was 16.
I know I wouldn't have.
I always just really was curious about the stock markets. It's
Mhm.
always been something I was looking at. So
Yeah.
at 16, my mother told me, "Hey, listen, you can do this. You have 60 days. If it's going down, if I'm not happy, I'm going to take it back." So this was before like online access. So my
Mm.
mother sat there and called and told the representative, "My daughter is going to give you the investment positions to pick." And
Wow.
she let me do it.
No
Wow.
kidding.
My mother retired in 2019. She was the first millionaire client that I had.
Wow.
Mhm.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
So when I think about, I don't have any children. My
Mhm.
stories to mothers, my advice is always like support your children. I don't know that my mother knew just trusting me to do that would
Mhm.
create an entire career for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And so, Siobhan, your company is Heal,
Mhm.
Plan, and Invest.
Mhm.
I want to
Mhm.
dissect that because I want to peel the layers back. So, first, how did you wrap the word heal around
Mhm.
money and finances?
Well, Erica, how do we talk about money without talking about how we got here?
Mm.
And for most people, there was some traumatic event that put them in some financial situation that they're trying to recover from.
Mhm.
So, in this world of money, we're always talking about the stock market and Bitcoin and all these things that are really exciting, but they
Mhm.
never really address like the foundational piece.
Right.
So, what I found is I was talking to clients about budgeting and debt management, and they were crying on the first call.
Mhm.
And I could see just the tension in their faces, and I was like, "This we're just talking about budgets and credit cards."
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
it just was this light bulb moment
Mhm.
that is not money.
Mhm.
It's this trauma that they experienced prior
Mhm.
to this conversation
Yeah.
that they're afraid for me to really see.
Yeah.
The most common things, Erica and Lorraine, it's growing up poor, in
Mhm.
poverty, not having everything that you needed, right?
Mhm.
Perhaps maybe a bad separation or divorce that you had to make some really difficult financial situations,
Mhm.
raising a child or children by yourself, and you've been in this kind of struggle survival mode for
Mhm.
decades, not
Mhm.
weeks.
Mhm.
So the thought with the company is how do I take someone from really surviving to being wealthy if I
Mhm.
don't really address how they feel
Yeah.
and what is their relationship with money?
Mhm.
And that
Mhm.
is how that heal component really was designed.
Yes. Well, before we go on to plan, Lorraine, I have to tell
Mhm,
you.
Mhm.
So I had my consultation with Shavon, right?
Mhm.
And money is an issue that people will either, they kind of hide it and not want anybody to know because they feel like, I'm this age. Why shouldn't I be further along? Or why didn't I know da da da? Da? And so doing the consultation with Siobhan, she's right. I had a box of tissues near me, right? Because she made me come to a lot of realizations that, yeah, because for a long part of my adult life, I've been an entrepreneur with 3 children, single. And
Mhm.
so the strides that I made were okay, but I beat myself up for so long feeling like I should be further along. I should have more money saved. I should, and when she helped me to really heal, like begin the healing process of the
Mhm.
wounds that I carried around money. And for me, we discovered it was I never felt like there was enough. Like there was always this push, like you got to do more and not do more in like gouging and getting a lot of money, but do more because always felt like I was behind the gun. Like I always
Mhm.
felt like there was more I needed to do. And so she started that conversation with me around healing those thoughts, healing those feelings first, because
Mhm.
before we can start doing anything else, we had to address those things. Lorraine, how do you feel about that process? Because it was really deep for me.
I love that the word heal is first
mm,
of the 3, that's the
Yeah.
first thing, and so I think that's very powerful
Hmm.
for people that this is different. This is not like a regular advisor for
Yeah.
financial management. This is someone who helps you get to the root of it.
Yeah.
It affects you emotionally.
Hmm.
Um, and some people might not even know that there are people out there that can help them unless you are big into investing in the stock market, or if you're big into, you've already saved a lot of money, or you have no student debt, or um, so this is I wasn't expecting that this would be the direction that this conversation was going, but it's a market of people that probably don't know
Yeah.
they can be helped
Yeah.
because they feel like they're so far into it.
Exactly.
mhm,
And I know for me,
mhm.
having the discussion with Siobhan, and sorry if I'm talking like you're not here,
No.
Siobhan, but I have to feel Lorraine in. But having the discussion with Siobhan, and I told her that I had, sought out several, financial advisors through, the process because I'm an entrepreneur. One of the reasons why it never really connected with them is because they tried to handle me as if I was an employee. You need to have this amount of money every month at this time and put it here. But as an entrepreneur, there is no set amount of money that's going to come up every month. So then I walk away from that relationship feeling like I failed. Like I'm not making enough money enough to meet the standard of what they say, you know?
Mhm,
Siobhan, I would love for you to kind of
mhm.
walk through a scenario. Of course, we don't
Mhm.
wanna, no confidentiality or any of your
Yeah.
clients,
Yeah,
but, like,
of course.
what's a typical story if you as you take someone from meeting you to get your help to their financial
Mhm.
success?
Oh, goodness, there's so many. Where could I
Mhm.
start? Um, a working professional, right? Working in DC, has 2 children, a husband, making really good money. So to me, really good money. You're making over $100,000 in a metropolitan area. It should be sufficient, right?
Mhm.
And she just said, there's something going on here that I can't quite put my finger on. I have this really good income. I have this great family, this great career. But when I really look at the numbers, it's not reflected, right? So I have all this credit card debt. I have a car that I probably shouldn't have because it's really too expensive. I'm not really making progress in my career, and I just really need to figure all of this stuff out. It was what we call internally, our program is called Millionaire Shift. So it was, hey, you have all of these foundational pieces, but how do we put them all together to really truly move you to the next step? And it was as simple as saying, "Give me everything you have." Everything that you can think of, Lorraine and Erica. I'm talking employer benefits, social security statements, bank accounts, investment statements, insurance declaration pages. And we're going to have a conversation because what does all of this stuff really mean to you?
Mhm.
We have to
Mhm.
have our cars insured, we have to have our homes insured, but do you have life insurance on your husband, on your children? What
Mhm.
happens if you aren't able to work? If you're
Mhm.
not here, what do I need to make sure happens for your family? So
Mhm.
there's all of these like qualitative things, but also there's this discussion that we have to have about how do you feel about all of this?
Mhm.
And really it was Lorraine uncovering all of these things that she didn't even know she had access to.
Mm.
So, first thing, her employer offered a free will, a free trust,
Wow.
not only for her, but her spouse, her adult children, and her parents.
Wow.
Her
Wow.
employer also offered a $2,000 a year college funding benefit for completing like these wellness tasks.
Oh, wow.
She was having a deduction of $25 a month on her paycheck stub, and she's like, "Oh, I just couldn't really figure out what it was, but I didn't really pay any attention. I didn't have any time. I figured I'd come back to it." And it was an account with $3,500 in it. There are
Wow.
just all these things that especially women just are so busy doing and moving and taking care of that
Mhm.
sometimes people are just saying, "Hey, I just need you to do this for me."
Yeah.
And then it's
Mhm.
coming back and creating an actual strategy that, hey, you can move through this checklist one by one. And they are practical things, Lorraine and Erica. It is, do you have water sensors in your home? Well, how can I have a conversation about your retirement and you live in a two-story home and there's an $80,000 risk that you're sleeping with every night because you don't have water sensors? How
Mhm.
can we talk about investing in stock classes when we haven't really had a conversation about do you have the appropriate health insurance and
Mhm.
vision and dental at your job? So
Mhm.
there are these conversations that in my previous position I was having these conversations and all of the foundational pieces were just missing
Mm.
because they were just focusing on assets and money in the bank. So
Yeah.
the conversations that we're having and developing these strategies at the end, it really is a checklist. Lorraine
Mhm.
and Erica, this is your checklist. This is your book. These are all the things that are going to happen in the next year and a half that I want you to take care of. And you
Mhm.
just simply have a guide and you're doing it step by step. But it
Mhm.
really is peace of mind
Yeah.
to say, hey, I actually have worked with a professional. I've
Mhm.
explained what I needed. And these are all things that I can do on my own. I just have to
Mhm.
sit down and take the time to get them done.
Mhm. So it sounds like, Siobhan, you essentially help any level of income to find money that they didn't even know that they had coming in. Like you
Mm-hmm.
help to clog up the leak first, then
Mm-hmm.
bill. Because we do leak out money that we don't even know that we're leaking out.
Or an assessment. Like I could the other
Mhm.
day I got a charge on my phone for a subscription, and I'm like, "What is this?" And I
Yeah.
went through my subscriptions, and it was my annual.
Mm.
It's an exercise app that I use on my phone, and so,
Mm.
so it was legit, but those things I really need to check that every once in a while, those things that you do a 7-day trial of, and then that
Yeah.
before you know it, you're getting monthly bills. I mean, charges that you totally forgot.
Mhm.
There are absolutely these leaks that, I mean, subscriptions is one of them. Right before this call, I had a client. She was paying $42 a month for $10,000 in life insurance. But after I looked at everything, I
Wow.
understand that she has $1 million policy somewhere else.
Mm.
So I did the math. It's if you live until this age, you're going to pay $19,000 for this $10,000 policy.
Mm.
And you already have $1 million policy. So wouldn't it make sense to cancel this? Because I want people to come to their own
Mhm.
conclusions, right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
she called and canceled and got a check for $2,700. Not
Wow.
some, but sometimes we're so busy and we don't even realize we're duplicating efforts
Mhm.
and things and money is just going down the drain.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Siobhan, when people have, say, student debt
Mhm,
or car notes that decide to lease or to buy or a house,
mhm.
are you able to guide people when it's time to refinance or when it's time to pay something off so that you can take out a loan someplace else? Like, how would you help someone navigate through that?
Mm.
Absolutely, Lorraine. I think that's the most common problem that people have is debt. especially now. So
Mhm.
Mhm.
if groceries have increased 40% and
Mm.
our income hasn't, where are people spending? Where are they getting? It's credit cards. So the most
Mm.
common thing right now is how do I refinance, reorganize this credit card debt?
Mhm.
It
Mhm.
debt management companies, it may be a nonprofit, it may be, hey, we just have to list everything out and create a payment strategy. You
Mhm.
may have to file bankruptcy, right? It just may be too far. You may just really have to start over. But
Mhm.
refinancing cars and homes are really big decisions
Mm.
that people usually ask the companies that they're going to refinance. So if you're
Yeah.
going to the bank to refinance, are they really going to have your best interest at heart? Could you
Right.
really go somewhere and look and get a better deal, but you're really working at this one bank? So it's talking about where are you going to get these loans?
Mhm.
What's the best type of loan to get? And then what are options that you may not even be aware of,
Mhm.
Right.
Mhm.
especially credit card debt?
Yeah.
I have to ask this question because
Mm.
I'm a musician, okay? I write music, I sing music.
Woo.
My husband is finance major, business attorney.
Mm.
I let him handle
I bet.
everything. We have never had separate accounts. We have I
Yeah.
completely trust him. Every once in a while, I'm like, "Hey, can you give me an idea?" And I know that that's terrible. And he tells me where everything is. So if
Yeah.
something happens to me, call so and so. Here's my password.
Mm.
But I, like, wouldn't even know where to begin if I had to take it over. I mean, I know that he's kinda
Wow.
has it set up for me, but,
Yeah.
like, what would you say to people who really have no interest in understanding their finances? I'm just full disclosure,
Yeah.
Erica, right? We don't hold
I
We don't
anything
get
hold
it.
back.
anything back.
I
And,
get it.
and we are look, the Lord has blessed us.
Yeah.
We're very comfortable. We're able to
Mhm.
not
Oh,
only live a
I
beautiful
love
life, but
that.
we've been able to be very
Mhm.
philanthropic with our charitable donations
Mm.
and stuff. My kids go to school, whatever.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I'm pretty much a dummy when it comes to what we have. Like, my kid's like, "Mom, you really have no idea, do you?" I'm like, no, really, I don't." So what would you say to an idiot like me
Not
who
it, Lorraine.
who need
Choice of
who
words. Choice of
Right,
words.
right, okay, I'm not an idiot, I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant of my can't family's finances, not at all concerned,
I love
just
that.
what would you say to someone like, what would be the minimum I need to know just so that my family I don't drive them crazy, should I one
Mhm.
day have to understand all of it?
Yeah.
So, 2 things, Lorraine. One is once a month, when hubby is paying the bills, let me just sit with you. Let me understand what's going on, what's going there, what's going everywhere. I don't need to know the details to the penny, but if you're paying are you paying the electricity bill a year ahead, 4 months ahead? Are you paying it every month? Like, there are just some things that people have no clue about. So when something happens, not only are they stricken with grief, but their life is disrupted.
Mhm.
The
Mhm.
second piece is, hey, I need all these passwords. So in your situation, I would recommend all the online stuff. Mm-mm. I need to see the papers. I need the statements to come to the mailbox and to the house. Because if something were to
Mm.
ever happen to your husband, how would I identify all of that? How long would it take to
Mhm.
find the electric bill when it's all online access? A bill's not coming in. So the first thing I tell people is, hey, get all the bills paper so that you can actually see what's happening if you ever needed to step into. And it's not even death, right? It could be disability, it could be
Mhm.
sickness, I mean, anything could happen. But that's it. Just passwords and a conversation of knowing what's happening and
Yeah.
where it's going. You don't need to know every single detail.
Mhm. Right,
Mm-mm.
and I mean, I have to say, like, I do know probably more than I'm leading on, but, just for our listeners who may be out there
Yeah.
who might be in my situation, and he does it
Hmm.
so well, and, I do other things so well that
Yeah.
he wouldn't mess with either, but,
Yeah.
Yeah. So
so
just the
yeah,
awareness of what's
Yeah.
happening, and if you need to get access into an account, how am I able to do that?
Mhm.
The other thing, Lorraine, especially in households where one person is really managing, make sure that you have protected that relationship. Meaning, hey, do you have a will? Do you have an advance directive? And the
Mhm.
most common mistake that I see, Lorraine and Erica, is people have all of these things,
Mm.
especially married couples that have been married for decades, are doing really well, but then something happens and no one can find them.
Mm.
right.
So do we know where everything? So my spouse knows, hey, if something happens, you come to my drawer and it's all right here.
Mhm.
My
Mhm.
will, my advance directive, the life insurance policy. So great to have them. So to your point, Lorraine, if you're not managing all of that, at least know where it is if you need
Yeah.
to
Mhm.
get a hold of it.
That's
Yeah.
great advice.
And Lorraine, honestly, like we laughed at you, but like I'm in the reverse of that, right? So like I went through so much of my life having to like know everything and take care of
Right.
everything. And then I got married and he's like your husband. He's like, I got it all. And I got like super chill, like good. Right.
Yeah.
And so this conversation is like, okay, Erica, you should know. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
so I'm with you on that.
Yeah,
Right,
and it's
right.
also peace of mind. Hey, I have peace of
Hmm.
mind right now, but if
Yeah.
something were to happen, I also need to have this peace of mind that I can not only sustain myself financially, but I can make these decisions that are
Yeah.
informed. Do
Yeah.
you know the stockbroker? Do you know the retirement person? Do you know where to go if something happens with the job, with the firm? Like all of those are questions that we should know
Yeah. Yeah.
answers to those
Yeah.
questions. Mhm.
So we've talked about healing in this
Yes.
process. Let's talk about the plan in this
Oh,
process.
yes. My favorite part of the
Mhm,
whole
mhm,
plan. Like you really have to sit down and
mhm,
take a look at what does this really look like.
mm,
So the healing part is a lot of conversation, a lot of really emotional things that make us feel good at the end. And the plan part is, hey, now we have to actually put paper to pen
yeah,
and
do
create
it.
this strategy.
Mhm,
And then as we create the strategy for you, you have to execute it.
mhm,
So we're healing, but there's no clear strategy until we actually write it down.
yeah,
So here's the plan. We're going to have a discussion. We're going to talk about what does the next chapter look like for you?
mhm,
Maybe the next chapter is next week, next month, but what does
mhm,
it really look like? And do you have it in writing?
mhm,
Because having these ideas of what I want my life to look like in the next chapter in my mind,
mhm,
that isn't always the best way to get us there.
yeah,
So the
mhm,
plan is simply put it on paper,
mhm,
have a strategy, and understand what that strategy is and start to execute it. So don't
mhm,
just get the strategy and put it in your drawer. I always tell people, make sure you
mhm,
Right.
actually pull it out and work on it.
And I
mhm,
love how the idea of a timeline on
mhm,
this
Mhm.
because if you think about it, and this is just an analogy. My
Yes,
son got
ma'am.
married a couple
Yeah.
months ago, and I remember talking to one of my relatives, and they're like, and she said, I want to lose 15 pounds before the wedding. And so we were moving along, moving along, moving along, and the wedding was getting closer and closer. And she goes, I just want to lose that 15 pounds. I said, okay, we're 8 weeks away now. If you do the math, if you do the math, you need a surgeon at this point, not a diet. So,
Or a magician.
so if you would have done the math on the day they got engaged, yeah, 15 pounds could have been done in 12 months. It still would have been hard. But if you do that with money, it's the same thing, right? You
It's
need to
the
go on a money
same.
diet. You have to figure out how many money pounds do you need to lose to get to your ideal money weight.
First of all, I love your daughter-in-law.
No, it wasn't my daughter-in-law who said that. It was a relative who I will remain nameless because I love her and I don't want to.
I love the
She,
relative. That is definitely a
just a relative.
yeah.
I did
I
say
love your
she,
relative.
so that knocks out half my people, but it was a female. That's
No,
all I'm going to
it
say.
makes perfect sense. And then think about it, Lorraine, the other way around. The things that media pushes on us, like if
Mhm,
who's seen this on social media? If you invested $100 a month at 21 into the
mhm,
S&P 500, you have $2 million by the time you're
mhm,
65. Well, I'm 41 and I didn't do that at 21. I didn't know.
yeah,
I didn't have the
yeah,
Sure.
money. So those
mhm,
that messaging too also has to be reprogrammed.
mhm,
And like, hey, I'm 41 and I'm starting from where I am today.
mhm,
And to your point, this dieting, we can actually run the numbers. Lorraine, it is just a math equation.
Yep.
yeah,
Where do you want to be at
mhm,
60, 65, 70? What does this look like for you? It's a math
mhm,
equation that we're going to solve.
Right.
mhm, mhm. That is so
And the
true.
math equation changes sometimes. Like I know when my husband and I meet
Yeah.
with our financial planners that we predict when we want to retire. We predict what type of life we want to have in
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
retirement. What kind of vacations we do we want the house paid off? Do we want,
Yeah.
and so anything that shifts in that planning, like retirement date or what how we want to plan our it changes how you invest or
Yeah.
how you save um so it's a formula like you said. It's important
And
to
your
understand your
priorities
numbers.
change, right?
Yeah.
I see that
Mhm.
often, especially with women as we mature. Like what was important at 41, I could care less about at 51. It's
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling to see clients like,
Yeah.
"Wait a minute, but 10 years ago, you told me you wanted to move to the
Yeah.
mountains by the time you were 60." And they're like, "Wait a minute, well, now I'm 51. I don't wanna be isolated and away from my community." Like, it's just life changes quickly.
Yeah.
But if
Mhm.
you have the foundation, you can make those changes.
Yeah. I like to think of it as like a life business plan, right? Because like I remember
Mm,
I
I
remember
like
when I
that.
did my business plan for my very first business and I did all the work, I put it all together, and then business opens and it's not going the way I planned it, right?
You mean the people weren't banging down your door and your phones were ringing off the hook?
Exactly. And so
I
what did
get it.
I
I've been there.
right. And so I had to go and readjust. So it's almost like a life plan with
Mhm.
an eraser. It's okay to erase it and start over or erase it
Mhm.
and adjust, like having
Mhm.
that flexibility to pivot. Because at the end of the day, we
Mhm.
think that it has to be this rigid, structured plan. And if we don't meet it, we fail. Because that was me. That was me working with other advisors, like, oh, wait, I can't keep up with this. But not realizing that, I
Mhm.
went from little kids to high school kids to college kids to now empty nester. That it's that plan has to change.
How
With
often,
those life
Siobhan, how often would you suggest someone reevaluate their financial situation and the way that they're planning, like what their plan is? How
Mhm.
often
at
should they
least
review that?
once a year or when life changes.
Mm.
So when life changes, right? It's death, it's divorce, it's having
Mhm.
kids, kids going to college, all of those times. But I would also add there's this emotional piece,
Mhm.
right? That people really forget about when they're thinking about money. Especially I've seen clients go through really intense stages of depression.
Mhm.
Nothing in their life changed, but
Mhm.
their outlook changed once they were on the other side of it.
Yeah. Mm.
And that is absolutely reflected in money. So
Mhm.
perhaps this big five-bedroom house was important in our 30s and 40s and 50s, but
Mhm.
this client just went through this major life shift of retiring, and her whole life perspective changed. And
Mhm.
now she's like, I could be in a one-bedroom box and it would be just fine. So
Mhm.
life changes, right? Once a year or when your mind changes.
Yeah.
Sure. I know
Yeah.
we're getting tight on time here, and I don't wanna
Yeah.
we've been so thankful that you've been with us. I wanna make
Mhm.
sure that we cover that investment part
Yeah.
of your company. So tell us a little bit about that.
So I am a financial advisor, and everyone thinks it has something to do with the stock market. It is absolutely the opposite. It is invest in yourself, right?
Mhm.
It's go walking, it's eat the right food, it's have the self-care days, get the massages, say the prayers, do the meditation, do the community service, pay the tithe. It's all of those things in investing in your own life to
Mhm.
really move forward that have no real tangible explainable reason to
Yeah.
money.
Mm.
And for me it
Wow.
was tithing.
Mhm.
hmm
Mhm.
So I started tithing 12 years ago. I started in 2012, so 13 years ago. I was making $26,000 a year.
Mm.
And I tell this story, and everyone doesn't really quite understand it because it could sound really crazy sometimes
Mm.
to some people. But
Mhm.
I made a commitment that I would tithe. It was this concept that I understood, but never really practiced.
Mhm.
In 2012, I made $26,000 and made a commitment on that little $26,000 that I would
Mhm.
tithe. In
Mhm.
2013, I made $107,000, and I have
Wow.
kept my commitment to tithe.
Mm.
And not even being connected now to a religious organization, I just send it to different churches at different times, and
Mhm.
Nice.
I cannot explain to you how I have seen it reflected in my life.
Oh, right.
That is
So
Wow.
so
that
beautiful. I
in
was not expecting that answer
At
when I said,
all.
"Explain
Mhm,
the investment part of your company."
Yes.
That is
mhm.
oh my gosh, you were such a perfect guest on this show. I love you so
Yes.
Oh.
much. I can't wait. I just wanna meet you and introduce you to my friends and
Yes.
oh, wow.
Yes.
And
What
it
a
is that
Yes.
beautiful
that to
conversation.
me is where the real work is, right? Because I
Yeah.
can give you the strategy, we can have the conversation,
Mhm.
but now you gotta take care of your heart.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And that means like you gotta get up, you gotta go walking, you gotta get the sun, you gotta
Mhm.
move through the depression, you have to
Mhm.
beat the anxiety. Like there are
Mhm.
all these pieces that have nothing to do with money, but absolutely will impact the quality of your life.
Yes.
Amen. Siobhan, how do
Oh
people
my
get in touch
goodness.
with you if they were interested in talking with you more about this?
Really easy. Heal, plan, invest. .com, .google, .instagram. It's everywhere. If you put in those three words, you absolutely find the website, the social media pages. And I would love and have an opportunity to have a team of people. So it's not just me, 17 people, but definitely
Mhm.
would love to have an opportunity to talk with clients and earn your business.
Yeah. I
Mhm.
always say when I
As
hear
long
her
as you're nice. That's our,
Okay.
you have to be nice. That's
you
our
have to be
only
nice.
qualification.
That's a good qualification. That's
Every
true.
time I've been blessed to hear her speak or do presentations or workshops, I'm always like, "Siobhan, talking to you is like, that's what this conversation just did for me again today, and I hope
Oh.
for our listeners that did the same for them."
I'm sure it
Mhm.
did. Thanks
If
so
you
much,
don't mind,
Siobhan.
ladies, could I add
Mhm.
one other thought?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
The thing that people beat themselves up the most about is you're not behind.
Mm.
No
Mm.
matter 41, 51, 61, 71, you are not behind. The
Yeah.
decisions that you needed to make, you made them because you had to, and you
Mhm.
absolutely have an opportunity. I believe that God will give you the opportunity to live the life that you dream of. Don't beat
Yeah.
yourself up about it.
Absolutely.
That's
Thank
a
you
great
so
way to end
much.
this show.
Yes. Thank you, Siobhan. We love
You
you.
are so welcome. I love you. I'm so happy. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. What an amazing conversation today, Lorraine, with Siobhan. Just having that whole conversation around money that changed your idea of how you even would approach it, right? Usually people clam up and get afraid, but this conversation gave you a chance to just breathe and give yourself grace. Wouldn't you say that?
Absolutely. We're doing this podcast on financial management, and it went in some directions I totally was not expecting. So I'm very
Hmm.
excited for our listeners to hear this episode coming up. And so we hope that you'll tune in. We'll hope that if you're watching our episodes that you like it and share it and subscribe to us. And one thing very special about this episode too is that we have our first sponsor, Rothel
Hmm.
Dental. And
Hmm.
so if you're interested in sponsoring any of our podcast episodes and want to share some information about your business, we'd love for you to reach out to us at belovedpodcast.com and we can get you some information on that. But it was a great topic, Erica, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Thank you for joining us today on Beloved. You can connect with us on our website, belovedpodcast.com, where you'll find our other episodes. So please say hello on our social media sites, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. So join us next time. And until then, remember, you are beloved. And thank you again to Rothel Dental. We really appreciate you and absolutely are grateful for your sponsorship. Thank you guys. Until next time.